Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
We're reading from Śrī Caitanya-charitamrita. Do we need any translation? Everybody's okay with English?
Will it help?
Yes. Okay. I was requested to choose some verse, some passage which relates to our theme of Krishna Janmashtami. And so I have chosen a section of chapter 18, Madhya-lila. The chapter is called The Lord's Visit to Śrī Vrindavan. And we're going to sort of jump into the middle of this, and then I'll, I think, read 3 or 4 verses, we'll see, to get to sort of the point. But we start with verse number 97, which is very wonderfully projected here. All right, this is, of course, Chaitanya-charitamrita, is written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is living in Vrindavan as he is writing, many years after Chaitanya Mahāprabhu has departed. He was not present when Chaitanya Mahāprabhu was present, and nor specifically when he was in Vrindavan. But he has heard about Lord Chaitanya's travels. Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
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 Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Prabhu-āge
sarasvatī he vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī he vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka Śrī Krishna dekhila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Sarasvatī he vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī he vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka Śrī Krishna dekhila.
Prabhu-āge kahe loka śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila.
Sarasvatī he vākye satya kahāila.
Sarasvatī he vākye satya kahāila.
Prabhu-āge,
Prabhu-āge,
in front of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Notice that many times in Chaitanya-charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is simply referred to as Prabhu. Prabhu. So we address each other as Prabhu. So that's actually a very high honorific master. Kahe, loka. All the people began to say. Śrī-kṛṣṇa dekhila. That they have seen Lord Kṛṣṇa. Sarasvatī, the goddess of learning. Vākye, this statement. Satya, true. Kahāila, caused the people to speak. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Translation: everyone came before Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and said, quote, "Now we have directly seen Lord Kṛṣṇa," unquote. Thus, by the mercy of the goddess of learning, they were made to speak the truth. Okay, this is a little out of context and there's no purport to this verse, but we will continue. First, I'll offer prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Sarasvatī Gauravani Vacharine Nirvishesha Shunyādi Paśyatari Shatari Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasinduya Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tata Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jaya Śrī Caitanya Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, what is happening in this portion of Chaitanya-charitamrita? Chaitanya Mahāprabhu has finally, after long efforts and so many obstacles, been able to arrive in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, he is visiting the various places, and he is staying in some of these places, and he is experiencing an intensity of, we use the word ecstasy, sometimes we overuse this word, but in the case of Lord Chaitanya, it really applies. He was actually feeling ecstasy, which is referred to as a multiplication of the so-called normal ecstasy that he was feeling. He was always absorbed in the ecstasy of chanting the holy name. On his way to Vrindavan, of course, in the Jarikanda forest, he was experiencing ecstasy of chanting the holy name, so much so that even the wild animals were coming and joining him in chanting the holy name. But now he's arriving in Vrindavan. What does this mean? Who is Chaitanya Mahāprabhu? He's none other than Krishna. And because he is Krishna himself, he is experiencing the memories of being in his own abode in Vrindavan, in his eternal pastimes. You could say he's re-entering into his eternal pastimes as Lord Kṛṣṇa. And so as he is going from place to place, these memories are awakened. For Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, it is all memory. It's not something he's heard, like for us, we hear about these pastimes of the Lord. For the Lord, he's remembering his own pastimes. Well, I want to back up a little bit and then move forward to get the whole story. I'm moving to, let's say, verse number 80. Vrindavane asi prabhu vasya ekanta nama sankirtana kore Madhya parjanto. Therefore, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu would go to Vrindavan and sit in a solitary place. It was there that he chanted the holy name until noon. So Lord Chaitanya had a little routine. He had a daily routine of sadhana, even as he was in Vrindavan. In the afternoon, people were able to speak to him. The Lord told everyone of the importance of chanting the holy name. So we can picture Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, he's in Vrindavan, and what is he doing? He's telling people, chant Hare Krishna. Chant the holy name. During this time, a Vaishnava named Krishnadas came to see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. He was a householder belonging to the Kshatriya caste, and his house was located on the other side of the Yamuna. Well, I'll jump over some of this. This is describing how the Lord blesses Krishnadas to also chant the holy name. But I want to get on to another point. Well, the summary of that, verse 88. Prabhu-āge kripa kahāila alingana kori preme matta hoila se nakshe bale hari. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu then bestowed upon Krishnadas his causeless mercy by embracing him. Krishnadas became mad with ecstatic love and began to dance and chant the holy name of Hari. Hari, Hari, Hari. So we can imagine Krishnadas, he's just been embraced by Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. And yeah, what's the result? Now he's overwhelmed. Would you like to be embraced by Chaitanya Mahāprabhu? Yes? No? Yeah. Okay. And then you would, afterwards, you'd be chanting. Okay, so then Krishnadas returned to Akrura Tirtha with the Lord, and remnants of the Lord's food were given to him. The next morning, Krishnadas went with Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu to Vrindavan and carried his water pot. Krishnadas thus left his wife, home, and children in order to remain with Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Does this mean he permanently left them, or just for some days? It doesn't say. So, we don't know. Everywhere the Lord went, all the people said, Krishna has again manifest at Vrindavan. Okay. One morning, many people came to Akrura Tirtha. As they came from Vrindavan, they made a tumultuous sound. Akrura Tirtha is on the way between Vrindavan and Mathura, because this is the place that Akrura stopped when he was taking when he was taking Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. They made a little stopover at a place which on the Yamuna, which later became known as Akrura Tirtha or Akrura Ghat. prabhu-āge loka charana bandhan prabhu-āge kahē agaman. Upon seeing Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, all the people offered respects at his lotus feet. The Lord then asked them, "Where are you all coming from?" The people replied, "Krishna has again manifested himself on the waters of the kahāila lake. He dances on the hoods of the serpent kahāila, and the jewels on those hoods are blazing. Everyone has seen Lord Kṛṣṇa himself. There is no doubt about it." Hearing this, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu began to laugh. He then said, "Everything is correct. Shab satya hoye." Some years ago, I was in Vrindavan, staying for a bit longer time. I was doing some research, and the house where I was staying, one repairman came to do some, I don't remember what it was, to make some repair. And we spoke a little bit. He was a local, Brijvasi, and he looked at me with a slight sort of challenging look. He said, "So, you have seen Krishna?" And he was implying, or he was saying, "I am Brijvasi, I am seeing Krishna. You have seen Krishna." So here these people are saying, "We have seen Krishna." And when they tell this to Lord Chaitanya laughs. And he says, "Yes, that's true." Okay. For 3 successive nights, people went to Kaliyadana to see Krishna. And everyone returned saying, "Now we have seen Krishna himself." And then the verse that we just read before. Everyone came before Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and said, "Now we have directly seen Lord Kṛṣṇa." And then the explanation that we get from Krishnadas Kaviraj. Thus, by the mercy of the goddess of learning, they were made to speak the truth. And then he goes on to say, when the people saw Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, they actually saw Krishna. But because they were following their own imperfect knowledge, they accepted the wrong thing as Krishna. At that time, and now the plot thickens, we say in English. Bhattacharya tave kahe prabhu-āge agya deha jai kari Krishna darashane. At that time, Balabhadra Bhattacharya placed a request at the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. He said, "Please give me permission to go see Lord Kṛṣṇa directly." Who is Balabhadra Bhattacharya?
He was assistant of Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, he's been traveling with Lord Chaitanya all the way from Puri. He's been his personal assistant. He's been going he's been with Lord Chaitanya for several weeks, possibly months. And now he's going to Lord Chaitanya and he's saying, "Dear Lord, I want to go see Krishna directly." Because all the locals have been saying, "Krishna is there. You can see him at night on Kahāila Lake." Purport. The puzzled people who visited Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu were actually seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa. But they were mistaken in thinking that Lord Kṛṣṇa had come to Kahāila Lake. It's called Kahāila Lake. It's actually Yamuna River, but it kind of extends out, or it used to extend out to a larger area. And I don't know, maybe in the drier season it separates and becomes like a lake. So they were mistaken in thinking that Lord Kṛṣṇa had come to Kahāila Lake. They all said that they had seen Krishna directly performing his pastimes on the hood of the serpent Kahāila, and that the jewels on Kahāila's hoods were blazing brilliantly. Because they were speculating with their imperfect knowledge, they saw Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu as an ordinary human being, and a boatman's light in the lake as Krishna. One must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna, or Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict, according to the conclusion of Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. A sincere person is able to see Krishna through the transparent via medium of Sri Gurudeva, the spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident of Kahāila Lake, is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. So, Balabhadra Bhattacharya has just asked this, we could say, unfortunate question. We could say that it's very nice that he asked the master, Prabhu or Mahaprabhu, for permission to go and see Krishna. So that's nice, the etiquette is there. But on the other side, as we'll see in the next verse, actually his idea of going to see Krishna when he's seeing Krishna, namely Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, is his foolishness. So the next verse, verse 100. Tave tane kahe prabhu-āge Madhya murker vākye kahāila pandita haya. When Balabhadra Bhattacharya asked to see Krishna at Kaliyadaha, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu mercifully slapped him, saying, "You're a learned scholar, but you have become a fool, influenced by the statements of other fools." Traditionally, a Bhatta or a Bhattacharya is someone who is learned, and Balabhadra is a Bhattacharya, and he's a Brahman. He's supposed to know things as they are. Short purport. Maya is so strong that even a person like Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who was constantly staying with Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, was influenced by the words of fools. He wanted to see Krishna directly by going to Kaliyadaha, but Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, being the original spiritual master, would not allow his servant to fall into such foolishness. He therefore chastised him, slapping him just to bring him to a real sense of Krishna consciousness. Interesting case of, might say, guru-disciple relationship. Balabhadra is not a Diksha disciple of Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, as far as we know, but he has been serving him as a master. What we might see from this, someone might be shocked. What is this? The guru is slapping the disciple. But we may also see it as a kind of intimacy, as a kind of expression of affection. And there can be an affectionate slap. We don't know how hard he slapped him, but it was, let's say, sufficient enough to wake him up. Or hopefully to wake him up. And then the next verse is kind of, we could say, the key point. Krishna kahe dorashana dibe kali kale nitya brahme murka loka kare kola hare. Why will Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken are simply causing agitation and making a tumult. Tumult means a disturbance. Purport. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's first statement, Krishna kane dorashana dibe kali kale, refers to the scriptures. According to scripture, Krishna appears in Dvapara Yuga, but he never appears as himself in Kali Yuga. Rather, he appears in Kali Yuga in a covered form. As stated in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11.532, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Arshadam. Krishna appears in the age of Kali in the garb of a devotee, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, who always associates with his internal soldiers. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, Śrī Advaita Prabhu, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu, Srivas Prabhu, and Gadadhar Prabhu. Although Balabhadra Bhattacharya was personally serving Lord Kṛṣṇa in his role as a devotee, Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, he mistook Lord Kṛṣṇa for an ordinary man, and an ordinary man, namely the fisherman in the boat, for Lord Kṛṣṇa, because he did not follow the rules set down by Shastra and Maya. So the key line here is Krishna kene darashandive kali kale. It's a rhetorical question. Why will Krishna appear in the age of Kali? He will not appear in the age of Kali. He will not appear as Krishna in the age. So I thought to bring this up because we are anticipating the appearance of Krishna tomorrow at midnight. We all want to have darshan of Krishna, right? Would you all like to have darshan of Krishna? Face to face, yes? Well, I hate to disappoint you, but it's not possible in this age. There are several Shastric references that make this point. In this age of Kali, Krishna does not appear. Okay, he appears as Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, Channa Kalo Yadavalasri Yugota Sattvam, the Channa avatar, which doesn't mean Channa doll avatar, but Channa means covered. So, okay, he's appearing as the devotee, but he is not appearing as Krishna. I'm sorry. So then, what are we all doing? What are we all practicing this Hare Krishna? We joined Hare Krishna because we want to see Krishna, right? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah? Well, you're not going to see him, sorry. What? I joined the wrong movement.
He appears as deities.
Ah, that's what many will say. He has appeared in the form of the deity as if he has appeared in the form of the holy name and so on. Yes, but there's also there's a non-difference and there's a difference. Krishna is present in the deity, yes. And then again, there are so many passages where devotees are saying, yes, but I want to see you face to face. Right? So then, what to do if Krishna is not, if it's not possible to see Krishna face to face in this age, then what should we do? What should anyone do? Shall we go back to material life? Well, it was a nice idea, we're going to see Krishna, but then finally, after so many days or weeks or years, the Swami told us that actually, I'm sorry, you're not going to see Krishna. So then, we just give up, go back home, back to Maya. Instead of going back home, back to Godhead, we'll go back home, back to Maya. Is that what we should do? No. We are saved by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who tells us how we can see Krishna in this age. How we can see Krishna in this age is we can see him in our hearts. And that is described in the Damodarastaka prayers, which are commented by Sanatana Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. And he explains this point in his commentary. So in verses 4 and 5 of the Damodarastaka, it's explained, Varam deva moksham na mokshavadimba na chanyam rineham varishadapiha idam teva purnata gopalavalam sadame manasya virasam kim anyahi. O Lord, this is Satyavrata Muni speaking, he's praying to Lord Damodar, who he has addressed in the very first verse, Namam Ishvaram Sachit Ananda Rupam. Sachit Ananda Rupam. He's referring to Damodar as the Lord Ishvara, who is Sachit Ananda, Vigraha. And now he's requesting that Lord, Varam Deva, because when you offer prayers, when you approach some superior, it's very much expected that at some point you may be making so many praises to that person, but at some point the question comes, all right, what do you want from me? Right? So much praise, so much flattery is there, that's all very nice, but you must be coming because you want something. You must be, I know you want something, what do you want? So, Satyavrata Muni in verse 4, he explains what he doesn't want. Varam means a benediction. Varam Deva, oh Lord, Varam Deva Moksham. No, I don't want moksha, I don't want liberation. Varam Deva Moksham na moksha vadimva, moksha avadim. And I don't want the outer limit of moksha, which is Vaikuntha. Na chanyam vrine, na cha anyam. And I don't want anything else. What? You must want something. As Chaitanya Mahāprabhu also prays, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam. What is it? Nadanam, Najanam, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam. Then you chant it every morning. What is it? Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam vājagadīsha kamaye janmani janmanishvare bhavatat bhaktirāhaitu gītvayi. I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want beautiful women who are described poetically, kavitam, or handsome men for ladies. Then what do you want? Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavata bhakti. I want your bhakti, birth after birth. Is that all? Yes, that's all. Oh, that I'm not giving so easily. I'll give you so many things, but that we have to discuss. So, Varam Deva Moksham na Moksha Vadimna Nachanyam Rine Hang Vareshadapiha Idam Te Vapur Nata Gopala Bhavam Sada Me Manasi Avirastam Kim Anyai. All I want is that your form, Vapu, your body, your form, as Gopala, appear in my mind, manasi, which can also mean heart, avasta, may it manifest, may it appear in my heart. May that form appear in my heart. So Sanatana Goswami is saying, this is available for us. The Lord can appear in the heart. And how specifically can he appear? As Gopala. And Gopala, as we all know, is the Lord of the go. He is the protector of the cows. And he is described in our bhakti literature in quite some detail to help us to see him in our hearts. So just briefly, of course, as we know, the Lord goes through various ages, his Kaumara age, his Poganda age, his Kaishora age, and each of these, we are told, have sub-periods. There's Kaumara Adya, Kaumara Madhya, Kaumara Shesha, Poganda Adya, Madhya, Shesha, and Kaishora Adya Madhya Shesha, each period for a period of some 1 year and 8 months. So in each of these times, the Lord has certain special features. He is eternal and in some sense unchanging, and yet he is manifesting different aspects of himself at different times. So, because we're referring to Gopala, I thought we look briefly at the description of him in his Poganda age. And as Sanatana Goswami said, we want to envision the Lord in our mind, in our heart. So Poganda is the time of boyhood, right? It's a very jolly time. The Lord is having a good time. He is smiling, he's laughing. Actually, acharyas tell us that the whole 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the laughter of the Lord. At this time he ventures, he goes out into the forest with the calves, and he plays. He's always playing, but he especially plays games, and one of the games he likes to play with his friends is wrestling. This is, Srila Prabhupada tells us, a bona fide Vaishnava sport. I don't think it's for ladies so much, but for gents, it's a Vaishnava sport. So, I don't know, you can discuss about doing that here. I don't suggest that you challenge Mahavirya for a wrestling match. That would be a mistake. Anyway, he also dances with his friends. His abdomen is shaped like an ashvata leaf. It's a particular shape of leaf. His throat has 3 lines like a conch. He has ruby-like lips. Have you all seen rubies, real rubies before? Never saw a real ruby? Real ruby. Anyone seen a real ruby? Yeah. How do they look? Wonderful.
When I was in India, I went to a jewelry shop just to see.
Just to see. They're very rich red. Okay. So his lips are ruby red. What else? He is fully equipped during the Madhyama period of Poganda. He's fully equipped with implements and dress of a cowherd. So now he's fully, he's a full-on cowherd boy. And he herds them to distant pastures. He wears a colorful turban. He has a golden rope for tying calves. Why would you tie calves? We don't have any practicing cowherds here.
When they're giving milk.
Yes, at some point you may hold the calf. You let the calf take milk first, and then because if the calf takes too much milk, she'll become sick. So it's actually in the calf's interest to not take too much milk. So then to hold her away from the cow while you milk the cow. Colorful turban. Now is the time when Krishna begins to wear buds of flowers in his hair and also peacock feathers. He has a staff, a stick, which is black with golden cap on the top, with which he also controls the calves. And he plays and he fights with his friends. He has more refined facial features. His skin complexion is cloud blue. And there's excessive sweetness emanating from his form. Excessive sweetness means like too much sweetness. Hard to imagine. Too much sweetness. Then in the Poganda Shesha period, the locks of hair are dancing playfully on his forehead. His hair reaches down to his hips and is braided. You know, braid. You know what is braid? Braid is what ladies usually do, folding the hair. Yeah. He has saffron tilak, wide shoulders. His turban is tilted to the side. He has a lotus in his hand, the talk, and he is the talk of the young cowherd girls. They're always talking about Krishna. And that's described in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 21, is it? The song of the flute. Krishna makes discreet comments about his attraction to them, to his cowherd friends. Sometimes he speaks with his cowherd friends about how the young cowherd girls are attracted to him. So that's happening in his Poganda age. All of this is what Satyavrata Muni is praying to Krishna, to Nata, to Damodar, please appear in my heart in this form. So we get some specifics from the acharyas, from Rupa Goswami and others, what that appearance is. So, as we anticipate the appearance of the Lord on Janmashtami, I beg to let you beware to make the mistake of thinking that in this age of Kali you are going to see Krishna face to face. But that is not to say that we cannot have darshan of Krishna. But where will we have darshan of Krishna? In the heart. But how is Krishna going to be visible in the heart unless the heart is pure? Right? So we have work to do, right? Purification work. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Scrub, 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 scrub. Purifying the heart. The mirror of the heart. The Lord is in the heart and He is our best friend, Surit. He is our well-wishing friend. It is said that a really good friend is like a mirror. A really good friend is like a mirror, reflecting, showing us ourselves. We see ourselves in this other person who is our well-wisher. So Krishna is the original well-wisher. And He's there in the heart, and He is our aspiration. Especially, how to say especially, but yes, once a year on Janmashtami we can especially celebrate that Krishna comes for us. Śrī Krishna Janmashtami ki jai, Chaitanya-charitamrita ki jai, Śrī Krishna das Kaviraja ki jai, Balabhadra Bhattacharya ki jai, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu ki jai, Śrī Panchatattva ki jai. We're a bit over time, so I guess, no? No. If there's a question or a comment or a suggestion. Yes.
I'm wondering, what did people say, Brajvasi say, when they figured that that wasn't Kali, Krishna on kahāila, and that was some fisherman?
Can you say more loudly for everyone to hear? Again? Here's the microphone.
Which cassette? I'm wondering what did people say when they figured that that wasn't Krishna on kahāila, that was some fisherman with a lamp on his boat.
It's quite possible that Krishna let them go on thinking that they have seen Krishna, because that would encourage them. We don't get any indication from Krishnadas Kaviraj of what happened later. What we do get is, as the pastime continues, is some educated gentlemen, as they're called. They come to Lord Chaitanya and they say, we are blessed because now we are seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa. And they mean by that they're seeing Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. But they also have a misunderstanding. And their misunderstanding is they're thinking because Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is a sannyasi, and because Mayavadi sannyasi, the understanding is Narayan. When one takes sannyas, one becomes Narayan. And so they're offering respects to Narayan, you are Narayan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just kind of says, okay, whatever. Because they're offering him respect, because this was the reason that he took sannyas, or one reason, that he was not getting respected by people in Navadvip. They were blaspheming him because he was, preaching the glory of chanting the holy name, and they were disrespecting him. And so he decided, okay, well, if I take sannyas, then at least I'll offer respect to the ashram, sannyas ashram. All right. So it was a kind of ploy. So now, it's some years later, people are coming to him and they're offering him respects because he's a sannyasi. And the point Krishnadas Kaviraj is making is they're also missing the real point. The real point is that, in fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly Krishna. They don't get that. So that's all that we hear from Krishnadas. Yeah. Yes.
Maharaj, one question. How in Śrī Caitanya it says that the Lord has no veins, but we see veins. But it says that the Lord Nityananda shed blood and Chaitanya on one occasion shed blood. So how to make this connection?
Yes, good point. Veins, no veins.
Yeah.
The form of the Lord is described as Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. He has a form which is eternal, full of chit, which is consciousness or knowledge, and ananda, which is joy or bliss. How do you say in Slovenian bliss?
Blaženost.
Blажено. Yeah. It sounds more blissful than bliss. Blажено. And vigraha means form. And so that is the understanding from, let's say, the side of what is called tattva, or ontology. It's a fancy English word. What is kind of ultimate reality in a philosophical sense? So from that perspective, that is his form. So no veins. On the other side, there is rasa, and rasa means where we experience relationship, and the Lord appears in a transcendental form, which is Shuddha Sattva, which is not material, and yet it can seem to be material, so that we can have relationship. Because if the Lord would appear as a kind of cyborg robot, with sort of, how to say, sort of floating off the ground and having a skin that's just, it's not metallic, it's not plastic, it's not flesh, it's not who knows what it is, then, well, what is that? We might be frightened. He is all attractive, and his attractiveness includes having the quality of being as if human. And that's so because he is the origin of all that is, and he's also therefore the origin of our forms. And therefore our forms are also, to some degree, sometimes attractive. We have to qualify. Sometimes our bodies might be attractive, although in so many ways, in so many circumstances, not so attractive, right?
Sometimes to some people.
Sometimes to some people, yeah. It's all very conditional. But the Lord's form is all attractive at all times, and so he can appear to have veins. He can appear to that blood comes from the forehead. In the case of Nityananda Prabhu, all of this can happen. Why? Because all of this makes for lila, for relationship, for rasa, and this makes the Lord all the more attractive. When Nityananda Prabhu is attacked by Madhya, and he is his forehead is bleeding from having received a pot on his forehead. So that drama that unfolds attracts us all the more to Nityananda Prabhu. We feel like Chaitanya Mahāprabhu when he comes and in his rage he calls for Sudarshan Chakra to kill Madhya. So we all feel impelled by that. That wouldn't have happened if Nityananda Prabhu had no veins, right? Sort of the pot would just bounce off of his head and nothing would happen. Yeah, well, he's God, so what can you expect? And Madhya would go, hey, how is that possible? Yeah, okay. Yes?
Can you say that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
I guess everyone heard the question, yes.
Internet audience didn't.
Okay. The question was whether we can consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's taking sannyas as a kind of bridge preaching. I mentioned a couple of days ago that this subject is on my mind. Yes, I would say so. And some may protest. No, this is not what we mean by bridge. We mean something, I don't know what, people have different ideas what it means. But I would say if we take the idea of a bridge, which is of course a metaphor, what are bridges for? Bridges are for getting from one place to another place where there's some obstacle in between. There's a river, or there's a gorge, or whatever. So the bridge gets us over from this side to the other side, and it also makes it possible for someone on the other side to get to this side. That's how I usually think of bridge. You have some bridges across, what's the name of the river here in Ljubljana? Ljubljana. Yeah, it's all about love here. Love city, love river. Slovenia, right? So anyway, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's taking sannyas was yes, in a sense we could say it was a means for reaching people that otherwise would not be reached. And so if you like, you could call that bridge preaching, I suppose. Making a connection. And yeah, we can say it was successful. In this particular example, these people are coming, they're offering respects to him, and in this way they're all being blessed. And so the preaching is successful to some extent. One of the questions about bridge preaching is what constitutes success? Is it successful that someone receives some aspect of Krishna consciousness but doesn't get what we may think is the whole package? And then that becomes a point of perhaps controversy. And yes, there could be the danger that you're doing something that you're claiming is reaching people with Krishna consciousness, but perhaps they're not getting Krishna consciousness, they're getting, we say in English, short-changed. They're getting something less than the Lord's mercy. So that becomes an issue. Certainly not a problem with Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so thank you all very much, and wish you a very nice day today. And remember, what is it we'll remember today? Huh? Yes, let's see Krishna in the heart. As? Gopala. Okay. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj.